Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Good show today for you. Brandon Spikes is going to join us a little bit later. Of course, he's now on the Florida staff in a role. In fact, he was going to come on earlier, but he has staff meeting. So we're going to get him on and do an interview with him. I get some good yes, no ways or maybes for him as well. Monday, if you didn't watch the show last Monday, well, that would have been Monday, a couple days ago. Coach Spurrier is not going to be here because he is going up to do the Heisman show, actually in Austin, not up, over in Austin to do the commercials. So and instead, we're bringing on someone much more attractive. Andrea Adelson will join us. We always love having her on the show from ESPN. Talk some college football with her, and we'll look forward to that. Still not sure about Thursday's guest, to be honest with you, for the next Thursday, a week from today. In fact, there may not be a show next Thursday. I got to double check with my wife. She's leaving town, and then when she gets back, we're leaving town to go on a little vacation that we've planned. And there may not be a show Thursday. I got to double check with her. She's not here right now, so I'll find out. But anyway, all right. So I did want to mention the fact that I did something I've not done in a long time, Tuesday and Wednesday, and probably shouldn't have done. But I played 36 holes of golf. I played 18 at Ironwood, 18 at UF. 18 holes at UF, by the way, cost me $90. Now, to be honest with you, that is the first time I've ever paid for golf out there. But they've changed kind of the, letting a lot of people play for free stuff, kind of stuff. But $90, no wonder a lot of the students are playing out at Ironwood. But look, the UF course is a much nicer course. I mean, it's one of the nicest courses in Gainesville. But it's almost like they're trying to, I don't want to say keep people off the course, but they've raised all the rates, and whatever. That's their prerogative, man. It's one of our few golf courses. I love playing tournaments out there. I will say this: it's hard, and the greens are ridiculously hard to putt because there's so many different slopes, and it's a great place for this program to play golf. Now we'll see what happens in the future. Anyway, the result of my 36 holes of golf were 79-89, which should tell you how bad it was the second day. But hey, I had a great time with Bill Reichert and the group that he plays with out there. They had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. I lost money, but who cares? But I did I had already scheduled a back injection for later that day, and it's already making me feel better. It took a while. Last night was a little brutal, but I know that everybody cares about my health. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to sports and talk about especially baseballs with our Process Service of Gainesville starting five, brought to you by Scott Hart and Process Service of Gainesville. We appreciate them for all their support. I will tell you this, that sponsorship will be open for football season. Scott's been so great to us. We talked about this before, and we appreciate him. He kind of came out of nowhere with this sponsorship that's lasted a long time. That sponsorship is going to be open, and it's very, give me a call. I've got all the stuff put together for what it requires and everything. But anyway, I'll get to business. Process Service of Gainesville. They're with us for another month after this month. So they're with us through July. And I appreciate Scott so much. I really do. Let us get to our Process Service of Gainesville starting five, which are the five biggest stories of the day. And in this case, a lot of it's going to be baseball centric with the Gators and what they were able to do and what they weren't able to do. So number one, our Process Service of Gainesville starting five. They get shut out on last night. Certainly not the way you want to end a season. I've got some unbelievable stats I'm going to give you a little bit later here, but what a great year. I was telling my wife, I said, this was the worst season and best postseason I've ever experience. Now, they've had better postseasons where they got all the way to the College World Series, but we didn't expect this team to do what they did. I give Sully a lot of credit. That move to move Caglione to the front of the lineup for the Kentucky game was brilliant. Maybe he should have moved him back. Maybe he shouldn't have started Liam Peterson. You can make all these questions you have for Sully, but the bottom line is he got a lot out of this team and certainly got more out of them in the postseason than anybody thought was possible. A&M's just got really good pitching, and it doesn't help when you gift them 2 runs to start the game, but that does happen sometimes. This is a really good Texas A&M team. Of course, they're going to be now playing a really good Tennessee team in the final. I do have, if you'll see, my Notre Dame baseball T-shirt on, which I bought when they knocked Notre Dame out, or Tennessee out of it. Was it 2 years ago or last year? Anyway, whatever they did, I promised I would buy a shirt if they knocked them out. I'm rooting hard for the Aggies. Last night obviously I wasn't, but I am today. But let's move on to number 2 on our process: Service of Gainesville starting 5. Oh, by the way, I did want to mention this. It's the 8th time 2 teams from the same conference are playing for the national title. The 6th time it's been SEC teams. Not a big surprise there. Of course, remember last year it was SEC. So this is 2 straight years where it's been SEC on SEC crimes that they're going to have to commit. But my watching level of this is probably not going to be real high. My gut is I'm going to put it on my second TV, and with the sound off, which is really how I watched all the Florida games, because I just don't like to. People go off onto tangents, and I don't really want to hear what they're saying most of the time. And if some controversy starts, I'll flip the sound on and listen to it, but I don't want to listen to idle chit chat about ice cream. And there was one where they went on and on about yesterday, the day game. They were going on and on about Cameo, and because somebody didn't know what Cameo was, that was in the booth, and I was just like, I was literally going to the bathroom at Ballyhoo, and he had piped the sound in even and I was just like, shut up, cover the game. That's why I don't listen to a lot of games. And I know the answer is put Jeff and Sean on, sync it up to your TV. No, I don't want to do that either. I love listening to Jeff and Sean too, but I just want to watch the game by myself. And I'm weird that way. I've become a weird old man, but in a good way. All right, let's get to number 2, and that is Caglione. I want to cry. I really do. I want to cry that I'm not going to get to see him play for the Gators anymore. I'm not going to cry, but I want to cry. What a great 3 years it was. I mean, not even a full 3 years. I remember when he started playing 2 years ago, I didn't even know who he was personally, because I don't follow baseball recruiting that closely, right? I follow only the players that are playing, and then all of a sudden he comes up, and I think he had a homer in his first game. I'm like, wow, where'd this guy come from? And then I got the backstory, and of course we followed him all through that year, and then last year, with the incredible numbers he put up, and then this year with the incredible numbers, he is now the all-time home run leader at Florida, beating Matt Laporta's record. Matt Laporta there to tip his hat, which I thought was cool. By the way, if you notice my hat, I got Tony Angelini, who is a good friend and plays in our tournament every year and calls our radio show, sent it to me for Father's Day U.S. Open. Very nice. And that's why I'm wearing it today. Anyway, Cags is the best to ever play here. That's all I can say. We have discussed this at length. I'm not sure there's not a better argument or as good an argument to be made for Wyatt Langford. I certainly know for Wilkerson, and I know Zanino, and I mean there, and Brady Singer. There's a million people you could put on that Mount Rushmore. But Cags is the only one that is automatic. There's no doubt about it to me. And he is the best player to ever play at Florida. What he has done in 2.5 years has been unbelievable. And don't forget, he pitched too. Now, I know he wasn't a great pitcher, but he was a really good pitcher in college baseball. Had a good record, and Guys hit the ball a long way this now, but he does have the home run record, and I don't know if we'll ever see anybody like him. Maybe we will. Maybe this is the new baseball where you have 6'5" guys that have matinee looks that can hit the ball farther than anybody's ever hit it. I'd like to see another one come along at Florida. Man, it's doubtful though that we'll see somebody quite like him. And it is sad to say goodbye to him because not only was, and again, I don't really know him very well. We talked to him a few times, but I don't really know Cags, but I know what Sully thinks of, and I know what Jeff Cardozo thinks of him, what Sean Kelly think of him. Seems like he is one of the greatest guys that ever played here, too. You saw some of the videos of him signing things for kids after the game, after the first game yesterday. And they, I mean, they had to go take showers and get, rest. And I think it did drain them a little bit. I think there was a little drainage, playing all those games, playing all those important games. But the point is, like I said last week, he was approaching Tebow level in terms of popularity, in terms of fame. I don't know if anybody will ever get to Tebow level. And I'm just talking about while he was a player at Florida. Now, Cags may be the guy that breaks the barrier of former Gators who go on to have great pro careers. Nobody in the Hall of Fame from Florida who played baseball. There's been some great players that have come along. David Eckstein certainly was one. Robbie Thompson was a long career. Wilkie played for a while, but there's never been, and Alonzo would be the closest thing to great because of his couple of years there where he was smashing all those balls. Hall of Fame? No. But maybe Cags is the guy that, unfortunately, by the time he would get in the Hall of Fame, I'll probably be in a nursing home or in the ground. But I hope he does. And I appreciate him signing that batting helmet for us that went for one of the biggest, and that's why I talk about the fame thing. It went for, I think, the third highest price, and there was some stuff that went for a lot. I can tell you that on our golf tournament. And he was nice enough to do it, and seemed really like, all right, this is the way he is. He seemed like he enjoyed doing it. That's what makes him great. His parents should be really proud of what they raised. Anyway, that's enough gushing about Caglione. We're never going to see him play for Florida again, and that is sad. But thank you for 2.5 great, wonderful, fun years where you never felt like Florida was totally out of a game because Cags is going to come up. All right, let's move on to number 3 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5. I don't want to start weeping over Jack Caglione, and I'm not going to weep over him, but I'm just saying he may be my favorite player ever. Wilkie's still my favorite, but it's personal. You've heard many of my stories about him. Anyway, let's get to number 3. And I woke up this morning very early, 7 a.m. And I've been thinking about this. I go, you know what? Let's go look at the run Florida made in the postseason, because I count the Georgia series as postseason. I know Jeff does too. Let's talk about those last 2 games Florida won that got them in. If they don't win those games, they don't go in. They don't get in. So during that, if you count those 2 games at the end of the Georgia series, Florida played 15 games and went 11-4. Here's the amazing thing: they hit a homer in every one of those games except 2. And you know who they were against? Texas A&M. You got to give those Texas A&M pitchers a lot of credit for what they were able to do. That guy last night was just on fire. I do think this team did all of what they've been dealing with may have gotten to them. I don't think it did. I think that look, one thing you got to understand about baseball is when you're young, you may play 3 games in a day. It's just the way it works. You get rain out, you got to play 2 games, but this I figured out the stats. I went game by game for this 15 game run that Florida went on. That is over now. During that run, they hit 295 with 25 homers in 15 games. And again, Texas A&M, they allowed 0 homers. Still, you have to think about what this team did. And if you take those 2 A&M games out, they hit 310. So this was a team that couldn't hit all year except hit homers, but they did both. They hit and they hit for homers. So pretty amazing run for these Gators. But I think that the other thing you have to remember about this is not only were they they were playing in the postseason starting with that Georgia series, but they played every one of those games in front of a hostile crowd. Every one of those 15 games. 3 at Georgia or 2 at Georgia. I'm only counting the last 2 games at Georgia because they won those. 2 at Georgia, 1 in well, I guess the Vanderbilt. I don't know if Vanderbilt had. I wasn't in the SEC tournament. And I did count that game though, because they played it. You got to count it. So they played that game in Hoover. And maybe that wasn't a hostile crowd, but then you had go to Stillwater, hostile crowd, go to Clemson, a really hostile crowd, go to the Omaha. I mean, look, Florida fans don't travel for anything but football. We know that. You would think Florida by this time, with all the appearances, would have had a big crowd there. I do want to say this. When you're 1 game over 500 at the end of the season, you're probably not expecting to go to Omaha. I know that if my wife and daughter had not had other things going on, they would have gone, but not many people went. And so every game they played was again in front of a hostile crowd, including last night. And they were able to win 11 of 15 games in front of hostile crowds. So I give these guys, again, so much credit. Let me just give you those numbers again. During this 15-game run, 295 batting average with 25 homers. And if that ball had gone 1 more foot off Curlin's bat, however many nights ago it was, I can't remember now. Again, you got to win the first game. That's the bottom line. It is just, I mean, it is possible to come back from it, but if you don't win that first game, you're going to be in trouble. And the pitching will eventually. And again, this was not a staff. It had deep pitching, but it didn't have great pitching. There was no guy. Fisher Jameson certainly has established himself now. But look, they're going to be really good next year. Okay, and let's just leave it at that. But anyway, so for baseball, that'll close the book on it. To be honest with you. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit more later in this show, but it is just a weird. It is the weirdest year I've ever experienced, where a team could go into it with high expectations. Every time you jumped on the bandwagon, you sprained an ankle jumping off of it because things went bad. And then to do what they did in the postseason, you sit there and you're going, I can't believe they want to get. They're going to Clemson for the Super Regional now. I can't believe they did that. Oh, wait, they're going to now they're going to Omaha. I can't believe they're going. Oh, and then I'm like, just win 1 game in Omaha. They won 1. And then I go, hey, while you're at it, go and eliminate Kentucky, who I hate. I kept saying this. She kept saying, my wife's so funny. She makes me laugh a lot. She goes, after they beat Kentucky, she goes, I just hope all the fans there also root for Kentucky basketball because they're miserable now. I have created a negative rooter in my life. All right, let's get to number 4 in our process service of Gainesville starting 5. I did watch a little bit of the Olympic trials last night too. I had the 2 TVs going as always, and Caleb Dressel. I don't think it was a swim he wanted, but he did make his 3rd Olympics. He'll be on the relay team. And again, this is continuing to go on every night. 8:00 finals will be on. It's a weird way to do it, but it's the way NBC said we will be doing it this way. They got the Olympics. They paid $1 trillion or whatever for it. And Bobby Fink also making the Olympics. And, we'll give it all to you eventually, how many Florida athletes are going to be in the Olympics. And again, when Katie Ledecky, I've talked about this too much, but when Katie Ledecky was swimming last night, I think it was a 1500 final, right? And she's got that Gator cap on. I'm like, nah, she's a Gator. If you're wearing the Gator cap and you're in the pool and you're representing the University of Florida and you are qualifying for the Olympics and you're going to wear a USA cap in the Olympics, you're a Gator. I'm willing to accept that. Usually I don't accept just somebody because you're a volunteer coach and you're not really a Gator. But now, no, she's a Gator. I have decreed that. But anyway, that'll continue on. Let's get to number 5 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5. And that is the death of Willie Mays. Of course, 93 years old, exact age my dad died, which I thought was kind of ironic because my dad loved Willie Mays. Everybody loved Willie Mays. The Say Hey Kid, the catch, all that stuff. One of the greatest players ever play. Maybe the greatest player to ever play that didn't use steroids. I mean, Hank Aaron hit more homers, but not that many more. I mean, 90 more? But he hit over 600 homers, and that's pretty impressive. And also just an incredible outfielder. I think he was a 24-time All-Star. All the stats I can give you, and there are people that will make the argument that saw him play. I never got to see. Well, I did get to see him play once at Candlestick. But it was, I think he might have been on I think he might have pinch hit in that game. It was a long, long time ago, obviously. But just a tremendous player, tremendous ambassador for the game. And it made me sad. That's the thing. When you get to be my age, people you care more about are starting to pass away. Like when Ty Cobb died, I wasn't upset. When Cy Young died, I wasn't upset. When, you could go through all these different people that have passed away when I was still, not collecting Social Security. They, now people that I really care about are dying. And it's too many, oh no moments. I talk about the oh no and the oh wow moments. The oh no moments are, oh no, obviously I'm not even going to bring up people like Tom Petty and Glenn Fry, who I did shed tears over. But oh no is what I said when Willie Mays died. Lived a great life, had a great run, was a great, nobody's saying anything but positive things about him. And that's great. But it's still sad to see anybody go. But I'm sure, like in the case of my father, when he went the way he wanted to, and we were sad to see him go, and I miss him every day. But he was ready, and I understand. So anyway, that is going to do it for our way to go in and end it on a down note. Process Service of Gainesville starting 5, Scott Hart. We appreciate them. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by our special guest today, Brandon Spikes, of course, 2-time All-American at Florida, and he's on staff now, and he is doing wonderful things over there and just got his degree, too. So we'll talk about all that. We got a yes, no way, or maybe with him as well when we come back on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studio.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And it's great to welcome in our guest, the great two-time All-American Brandon Spikes. And of course, he is one of my favorite people in the world. Look at him. Look at how cool his Gator-made office is. That is the coolest office. I need to get some of that stuff for our golf tournament next year.
Hey, maybe we can work something out, Pat, man. I appreciate the introduction. I always enjoy coming on your show, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate you. And I mean, your new role here is, can you kind of explain what that's going to be?
Well, it's just, I'll be more on the program side. Of course, I'm going to still be, giving my 2 cents on the coaching. If I see something, I have to address it. But yeah, I think I'll have a more important role with impacting the guys as far as life skills, player development, professional skills, stuff off the field, and kind of help them navigate, with life after football, so to speak.
That's the thing, Brandon, when we watched that Swamp Kings documentary, is that you didn't get it right away. It took you a while to get it. And when you got it, then you became one of the greatest linebackers we've ever seen around here.
Yeah, man, I am grateful, man. Like I tell the guys all the time, me deciding to come down here to Gainesville, be a part of this great Gator Nation is one of the best decisions I've ever made. And believe it or not, Pat, I just watched Swamp Kings for the first time a couple of days ago, and I will pat myself on the back. I just thought I came off authentic and genuine, like I wanted to be. Me and you talk all the time, so I just tried to, kind of be the same person once the camera was on. You know how that goes sometimes. When the camera come on, guys, they tense up and they get camera shy, and I didn't want to portray that. So I felt like I was myself. So I'm pretty proud, and I hope I represented the Gator Nation the right way also too.
Absolutely. I think you made even more fans. You already had plenty of fans. I did want to ask you if you watch how much of the baseball you watch. I mean, we're talking about teamwork here, and I know that was exciting to watch.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with them, man. I'm just really proud. I see them come here. We got the training table here, so some of the guys come in and eat here and there, and I just let them know how proud I am, and how it feels good to be playing for championships again. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. When you come to Florida, the standard is high, man. With all the sports, the pride factor in there, it means a lot. It's not just for that individual player; it's a whole entire nation hoping that we succeed and play well and be the best. So that's the great thing about, this great Gator Nation.
Yeah, I was talking before about how Caglione is approaching Tebow popularity, man.
Yeah.
If he had one more year, he might have gotten to it.
Hey, maybe we can get him to stay. Is he all his eligibility out? Is it all gone, or is it time to?
He's got a year, but he's going to probably be the first pick in the draft. So.
Yeah, he got to go do what he got to do. But it was fun while it lasted. Like I said, man, I'm sure he's gonna, in the future, long time from now, he'll come back, with his family and be able to show like, hey, look what your dad did, and that's the best part of why you work hard and grind and don't accept handouts. Just get it out the mud, and people will applaud you that forever if you just kind of just make up your mind when you hear as a young player. You appreciate it more, when you have to work for it and nobody just hands it to you. You know what I'm saying? I think he understands that just from all his, his production on the field. So it was great to see him play. I hate what happened. I was like, how are they playing 2 games in one day? I didn't understand it. That's not fair. Like, they got an edge on us, right?
Well, that's what happens when you got to win that first game, and when you get done. That's the bottom line. If you don't, then you're going to be playing from behind. And
funny story, Matt. I don't really know much about baseball. I've been, a lot of my uncles and stuff played. I didn't play it. I wish I had gave it a try
No,
because
I was going to ask you, did you ever play
no,
baseball?
I wish that's the one thing I regret, man. It was just a slow game. If I played, I would have to play
It's a slow
catcher or
game.
first base. But true story, my first baseball game ever was I was up in New England playing for the Patriots, and Robert Kraft came to me. He's like, "Hey, I got to go to Egypt for a day or two, and we about to close it out. The World Series game. I think it was in the Monster. I think they call it up there. They was up there playing. They was playing St.
Great
Louis
monster, yeah.
Cardinals. Yeah, and they was about to close it out. He's like, "You want my tickets?" I was like, "Wow." I don't know much about baseball. He's like, well, I think you should give it a try. And me and my fiance at the time, she's from St. Louis. She's like, yeah, you want those tickets? Oh, so my first baseball game ever was the World Series in Boston. They closed it out. And I ain't gonna lie, man, it was kind of boring. I was like, this is the championship game. I think baseball, like I didn't come with a big group of people. It was just me and my fiance. So I think baseball is more of like a camaraderie type of deal. You got to come with a group of fun people to have a good time. But I did enjoy the chants and stuff, take me out to the bar, the old
Yeah.
classic stuff. So it was fun,
Absolutely.
man. I'm gonna give
Well,
it a chance.
I mean, did you play any other sports? Did you play basketball?
Yeah. I played basketball. I tried track for a little bit. Of course, I was slow as a turtle, so that didn't work out. But yeah, basketball was my first love, Pat. I had a scholarship to Wake Forest. There was, rest in peace, Skip Prosser. He gave me my
Yeah.
only Division One scholarship. Believe it or not, I quit football 10th grade year in high school because I was growing 2 inches every year. We started out 0-3. I was like, I don't need this. I'm playing basketball. I'm gonna be an NBA player. I got to like ninth grade and stopped growing back. So I've been the same size since I was 14 years old. I hadn't grew a bit.
Is that right? The
Yeah,
same height since you were
same
14?
height. But basketball, North Carolina, that was my first love. I hate that I didn't keep growing, but I'm not complaining. I think I chose the right sport.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good for you. I did want to mention also you getting your degree,
Yeah.
and coming back to get that, and it's a proud moment when you're able to walk.
Yeah, man. I ain't even gonna lie. At first, it's still kind of a little surreal because it was 14 years later, 15 years, and I promised my mom that I would take care of business. She kept bothering me. She's like, "You need to go back. You need to go back." And the university, that's the great thing. Boy, they was asking me to come back. Like, come finish school. We want you here. It'll be great for you and it'll be great for your daughter. I got a 9-year-old daughter, and I always tell her, like, hey, we start something, we're gonna finish it. And I wouldn't be able to preach that if I didn't take
Right.
care of business myself. So, it was just a dream come true. It was challenging. I ain't gonna lie. Coming back to school as an adult was it was challenging at first, but once I got into that mode, I think I was in a good mental space to kind of handle that and thrive. And right now I feel like I'm still in school mode, and I just applied for the MBA, the master's
Yeah.
program here at business school. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, I can get in there and just keep striving. I'm just all about trying to get better, man. I want to always be a well-rounded man. So I think I'm at the point now that I'm focusing on my education and where it can take me, and I'm really proud and thankful that this university has just invited me in with open arms. Like, it's great to be a part of something like that, to be welcomed back home like that.
Absolutely is. And it is, I mean, it's certainly not easy as like you said, as an adult to come back to school. I have nightmares about taking a test.
Oh yeah.
I'll wake up, oh, I didn't
Same
study
thing.
for that test. And I'm like, that was like a long time ago, Pat. You
Yeah.
need to get over it at some point.
It happened to me, and now like they got the camera watching you while you taking it. So I'm like, oh, it gave me anxiety. Believe it or not, I had my first panic attack at 35 years old. So it's all good. It was worth it though, man. I just got the email today where they sent out my diploma, so I can't wait to get it. Put it up
That's
in my office.
so cool. Yeah. So I don't know. Does it replace the Kobe or the
Oh
Brady?
no, I got a spot right up there, just right in the front, right here, just for it. So no, Kobe's never coming down, or
Yeah.
Tom Brady, the goats. Oh, you see, there's only goats up there. That's the only people make that wall, man.
Goats only need apply. I get you.
Yeah.
I get you. In fact, that's something we see a lot of jerseys get retired, like both of those. I mean, Brady just got his retired by the Patriots. Florida doesn't believe in retiring jersey, and that's when I would think about Caglione retiring that jersey.
Yeah,
And I think the Tebows of the world. I mean, they're
absolutely.
yeah.
Tebow, Emmitt Smith, Fred Taylor, Javon Curse. Wilbert Marshall. Like, these guys are the pioneers of this place. This is one of the reasons I decided to come to Florida, because I wanted to be a part of greatness. You know what I'm saying? And in order to do that, you got to come play with the best. So, they paved the way. Like, I still got a really good relationship with Fred Taylor. We still talk. He just earned his degree also. One of the reasons he inspired me to go back. He kept his a little bit on the low. I was complaining throughout my whole little process, but me and Fred,
there's a statistics class you had a hard time with.
Don't even mention it, Pat. I still have nightmares over that. And I think it's 2 more different courses in this NBA plan. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, man, Fred, I always asked, I was like, why don't we have anybody jersey retired? You know what I'm saying? So they don't believe in that here in Florida.
No, well, the argument was always that, you have 100 players, so you need 99 numbers, whatever. And I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah, you don't.
You can only put 60 on the field at a time.
Right. And now it looked like guys are wearing the same number too, also on the opposite side of the ball now too. Yeah. So that's strange to me.
Both get on the field.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. That's
well, funny. Let me ask you about that, because I know a lot of Gator fans are going to hear from you about this, and because you're out there watching these guys work out, and you just went through a spring with them, and they're obviously out there conditioning and everything. We hear from Billy Napier that this is going to be a different situation, that everything is now in place and going forward. Are you getting that same? I mean, I know you're part of it, but are you getting the same sensation?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's just fun to watch. Like I tell people all the time, Rome wasn't built overnight, and it's a process, man. I think coach is getting his guys in. I think he got the guys to fill the roles that we was missing, and one of those for me was the leadership. There's guys that with experience, they come and set the tone, show the young guys how to work every day, and show them this is how it is. This is what it takes. There's no shortcuts. You got to do all the small things when nobody's watching, and nobody's going to pat you on the back for it. You just got to think about the end game, and that's hosting that championship trophy up. You know what I'm saying? When the time be, but just having the experience. And for me, like, we got a lot of guys in the back end that's played a lot of ball, and that's what we was lacking defensively. I always say, like, I thought the offense did pretty well last season. Defensively, I felt like we struggled. We could do a lot better. But just getting guys with more experience, we played a lot of true freshmen on defense last year. They coming into their second and third year, they have more confidence. And I'm just going to tell you, Pat, the strength and conditioning program has been off the charts. I'm more impressed with that. You see the guys' bodies changing. They walking around, with a little pep in their step. So that's good to see, man. And they working, man. Like, I hadn't told them that. I won't tell them that, but I'm sharing this with you so they won't get ahead of themselves. But I'm really proud to see the steps we've taken so far this spring and this summer. So hopefully we just keep that, that mindset of, it's us against the world. We got one of the toughest schedules, and that's I keep telling them all, this is a good thing. It don't matter. It's one game at a time. You know what I'm saying? And you don't get a lot of opportunities. So let's just seize the moment. Don't worry about the hype. Who cares what they're writing about us, wherever we rank. Just go play hard, one play at a time, and I guarantee you we'll come out on top. If you can, kind of have that tunnel vision, and that's what we done. We didn't care about the hype. Like, it's always going to be stories written, people saying this, people saying that. It's all about your brothers that you're working hard with right now, and going through blood, sweat, and tears with. So I think they understand that. Like I said, with the leadership, the discipline, and the older guys been in the building, those grad transfers and stuff like that. I think they helping us out a lot, man. Just far as just the work, bringing your lunch pail every day, like, what I'm saying. When there's no games played on Saturday, like, this is what college football is. Because you better believe the Georgias of the world and the Alabamas of the world, they working right now thinking about whooping you on Saturday. So you gotta, get them that same energy. So I think we're getting there, Pat. I think you'll be impressed. If you was in here, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah. That's it. Well, that's the thing. I've always told people, you don't get bigger and stronger during a football season, and you don't get better on Saturday. It's all done ahead. It's all about how you practice, but it's also about, did you get your body in the right shape to go to practice? Yes.
There's no way you're going to step out there during the fall and think you're going to play at a high level if you didn't prepare. One of my favorite sayings is the 5 Ps. Preparation prevents piss poor performance. I'm a firm believer in that, man. Like, if you just prepare, you should be ready. You know what I'm saying? Just when your numbers call, and that's all I did. When my numbers called, I tried to prepare like I was a starter. I had this conversation with DJ Latway. I said, Latway, no matter what happens, you just be ready for the moment. And when your number's called, you go in there and help us out, help us get to the promised land. And that's all you can control. Control what you control. Don't believe outside hype. And he's a very down-to-earth kid, come from a great family, natural
Right.
born leader, alpha male. I'm happy to have him in the building too. It's great to have that. His whole class that came in with him, those guys are winners, and they come in contesting. They wanna come and contribute. So that's great, man. Just to see those young, hungry Gators. Like, hey, we want to play for something more than just NIL and more of my brand. Now that's super important. But this class, I noticed that they more about togetherness, the camaraderie, the brotherhood. So that's great to see. So I hopefully they can come in and contribute. Me personally, I don't really like to depend on freshmen because what I'm saying, I know I didn't play a lot as a freshman. I turned out decent. I just wasn't ready. I had to, work hard and wait for my
Yeah.
moments. I think they understand that.
All right. Before we let you go, we have to play yes, no way, or maybe with you. And of course,
Okay.
it's brought to you by Big Mill's Cheesesteak, street dining done the right way. Go in there and say you listen to another Dooley Noted podcast, free fries with your order. Okay. Number one, you were not at the 2008 National Championship celebration because you hadn't decided yet whether you were coming out.
That's hold on. I did celebrate a lot. Let me see if I remember. I'm trying to see if I remember that. No, I think that was the one here in the stadium, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was there. Should I chime in on what, or just a yes or no?
Well, no. Yeah. You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
I just
Yes.
was wondering because you weren't.
I was undecided. But you remember Tebow came up and done his.
Yeah.
I've been following Tebow my whole life, man. Following him out of high school, but he came up and done his speech. And he was like, "Yeah." After he was acting like he was walking down the stairs. Then he turned around, and was like, "And by the way, I'm coming back."
Yeah.
And right then and there, I was like, I texted my, the guy I was dealing with at the time about, thinking about coming out, and I texted him. I said, "Well, I think I'm coming back to try to win a third national championship." So that's what it is. Yeah.
That was a great team too. It just.
Man.
I think Percy not being there was the biggest thing.
Come on, Pat. I always tell you that, Percy is the best player I ever played with, but him leaving, like we was just missing that punch. We had everything. We end up being undefeated now all the way.
Yeah.
We still went undefeated. And, once you get to those juggernauts, you got to have a little something extra. And Percy is a little something extra on anybody's roster.
Yeah.
So I think he was the X factor at the end of the day. I'm not blaming on that because a lot of stuff happened during that week, up into that game. I'm sure you remember. I ain't gonna bring it back up, but I think with him, we win that game by 2 touchdowns by far. We still got to stop somebody defensively, and that was on me. They kind of had their way out there, but I don't think that whole season was weird. I ain't gonna lie.
It was a weird season. In fact, I remember Scott Strickland came up to me at a basketball game. This is when he was the AD at Mississippi State.
Uh-huh.
He said, when you guys came to games or to Starkville, I've never seen an undefeated team more miserable. And I go,
Yeah.
I said, I can't explain it either. I think it was there was just too much going on.
It was just too much outside stuff. And then some of the guys like point fingers. And I was like, what is happening? Like, is this my fault? Or is this me allow this happening? But sometimes, man, like when you on those stages, if you're not mentally and mature enough to handle that, like it can affect the team. You know what I'm saying? It oozes through the whole locker room. And I don't think I done a great job of holding everybody together. Like I don't think we had, like, once you win the trophy, win the gold, get the rings, like that's the challenging part, to keep that up. That's why I always applaud Tom Brady. That's why he's on my wall. Kobe Bryant, those dudes keep that chip on their shoulder, that edge, and it's fascinating. That's why they're different and greats, because a lot of people they can't keep that type of, what I'm saying? How can I say? They can't just keep that up, day in and day out. Like these dudes win the championship. The next day after they win the championship, Pat, they thinking about what can I do to win another one. The next day, I don't think I had that type of, I wasn't mature enough to, handle all that success at the time. And it came fast,
Oh, yeah. It did. All right. Number 2 on yes, no way, or maybe you have had drinks with no Sean Moreno at some point. Talked
Hell no. And never will.
I just thought maybe you guys would be sitting there one day having a couple of beers and you would go,
Nah.
yeah, remember how I hit you that time?
Hey, Pat, I don't like to use the word hate, but I think that rivalry, man, that stuff that really made me hate black and red. Like red used to be one of my favorite colors. I don't like nothing red or black. Like I hate if I saw no Sean at a Publix grocery store, it might be on site pack. And it's 15 years later, man. That's how serious it is. Like I can't get it out of me. I don't want to have
Pop
this.
them again.
Yeah, man. I hate. I was like, B, you've been a bit immature. Like it's time to grow up a little bit and let those rivalries die. I'm like, no, this is life. This is for life, man. This is just what it is.
I got to tell you, I am wearing a Notre Dame baseball T-shirt. You know why I'm wearing it? Because I bought it when they beat Tennessee and knocked them out of the baseball regional a couple of years ago. So I keep my rivalries going. I promise you that.
Hey, I might need to get me one too, Pat, because I'm with you, man. I'm just like that, bro. That's probably why we hit it off, because like-minded.
All right, finally on yes, no way, or maybe, your 4 interceptions for a touchdown in your career will be a record that lasts at least another 10 years.
I hope so. Yes, I'm just going to say yes, because nobody's broken it yet. I tell the linebackers here, they're like, Coach, you was a downhill linebacker. All you could do is tackle. I was like, bro, I have the record for interception, pick sixes in one season.
Go watch the LSU film.
two of them. They was like, he threw it right to you. I was like, what about the other 5 then? Y'all talking about it. They threw me. I said, have you got your hand on the ball yet? You go try to tell me
That's
as a quarterback threw it. Right. Like 6 interceptions, 4 for touchdowns. Pat, I know you remember that. And that's one of the things I'm the most proud of, because they used to say, oh, you could just tackle, you're a downhill linebacker. I'm like, no, I covered people too. I got PBUs and got my hands on balls and took them back to the house to, get 6 points for the good guys. So I was more than just a downhill linebacker.
Yeah, I think Chauncey's the only one that came close to you. He had 3.
Oh yeah. The Patriots drafted him, right?
Yeah.
And I was happy too. I think did he tie it?
2 in bowl games, yeah.
Yeah, did he tie it? I think he tied
No,
it.
he only got the 3. He got the
3. And I was happy too when he ended the draft. I said, whoof. Almost got me.
All right, Brandon, we will let you go, man. It's always great talking to you whenever I see you anywhere, but especially doing this podcast. And we appreciate you so much. And you're a great guy and a great Gator.
Thank you, man. I'm working on being the ultimate Gator now, Pat. As long as I get that NBA, I think I'll be the ultimate Gator. You know what I'm saying? So that's the goal, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed coming on anyway. And let's catch up and get that beer soon, man. I'm here. So this our last week, so we got some free time coming up.
Exactly.
So just text me. So
all right, we'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break.
Gators.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It is time for Hesser and Kipke 3 things. We appreciate Hesser and Kipke so much.
Hesser and Kipke, of course, as you know, is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of family law and workers' compensation. If you're a loyal listener of this show, you know who we are by now. If not, Google the firm, check out the reviews, and hear what our clients have to say. Ken and Jennifer can be reached 24/7 via call or text at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. And three things. Let's get to three things. All right. First was the firing of Monty Williams, and that happened yesterday. And of course, they kept showing it across the crawl. And man, my first thought was just, man, it's kind of heartless. But Monty Williams, of course, had lost his wife in a horrific traffic accident, and I know he was on Billy's staff at the time, Billy Donovan. And Billy, everybody just talked about how great he was. But hey, you know what? They were awful this year. They were really bad, the Pistons, but he had just signed a huge deal. So guess what? Monty Williams, I still feel bad for him. I still do. But he is getting Jimbo money now. He's getting $65 million not to coach. That's a pretty good deal. Now, and again, he'll get on a staff if he wants to, and I'm sure it'll be like prorated, but he may just sit out for a year. But that is Jimbo Fisher money. I definitely got in the wrong profession. I think my first job I made $195 a month. No, 195 a week. I'm sorry. First job. Maybe it was less than that. I don't know. I can't remember. My brain is not quite there today. But anyway, Monty Williams is going to make a lot of money, but I still feel bad for him. It is embarrassing. It's embarrassing when you give a guy that much money and you fire him the next year. That's embarrassing to you as a franchise, and it's embarrassing to want Monty Williams to get fired after getting that huge deal. Things just didn't go well, and I don't know, very reactive. But anyway, it's not my business. Not my business to hand out $65 million either. Number two on Hesser and Kipke's three things, I did want to mention, because it happened since we were on the air the last time, that now Al Horford has another ring for his collection. I know he's got a ton of rings somewhere. Probably might be at his house, might be at his parents' house, but he's got another one now with the Celtics winning. It was kind of anticlimactic. Look, the Celtics were really good. They are what they are, and they put together a dynamic team. And again, Kyrie Irving didn't help things that for Dallas, but I was rooting. It was really weird. I couldn't really watch the games because I can't root for the Celtics, but I can't not root for Horford. So I decided don't watch the game. So I'd watch a little bits and pieces. I don't think I ever saw the end of the game, but I'm so happy for Al. Al Horford, to be honest with you, is one of the nicest people I've ever encountered in my life. One of the greatest. Not stuck up, not full of himself. Anytime I've needed him for anything, to help me out with the golf tournament, to do interviews, he's been awesome. We ought to get him on the show one day. Maybe we will. Maybe he will retire. Maybe this will be it. He wanted to get a ring. Maybe that'll be the end for him. But maybe he'll just keep going, because guys kept taken, I should say, care of himself. But congratulations to Al Horford for getting that ring. I wanted to make sure we brought that up. Number three on Hesser and Kipke's three things. The top qualifier for the junior United States amateur, Charlie Woods. You may remember that name, Woods. Yes, that's Tiger's son, who I don't know if Florida's in on him, but I know they're going to start recruiting him. Well, because there's a rule that you can not start till they're juniors. I think he may be a junior this year. I don't know how all that works. So don't get me started on that. But he was a top qualifier, and the guy can play. Now, I will say this. If you can mentally handle everything that you're going to have to deal with being Tiger Woods' dad, everything else is being gift wrapped for you, because you are able to practice whenever you want, because he's got the big chipping and putting green out back. You were able to play wherever you want. You can go with your dad to Augusta and play. You can do all this stuff, and you've got a great teacher and the greatest player. I still think he's the greatest player of all time. Obviously, he derailed some of that, getting to the 18 majors, which he'll never do. of Jack Nicklaus, and Nicklaus was unbelievable, and you can make that argument that Nicklaus was better, but look, we all know Tiger was the best. So you got that going for you, but you got to handle it up here. And it's so far, it feels like he is, and I'm sure his dad has given him great lessons, but got to handle it because everybody's expecting you to win everything you ever do. And that's hard. That's hard not everybody can deal with that kind of expectations. Some guys snap, some guys can't handle it. Anyway, that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things brought to you by the great folks over at Hesser and Kipke, Ken and Jen. We just appreciate them so much. Let's move along to this, that, and the other. As always, it is brought to you by Ironwood Golf Course, home of the Bob Dooley. It is brought to you by Darshakow Insurance. It is brought to you by Ballyhoo. Appreciate Bill for inviting me out to play golf with them yesterday. $90. Not only $90, but I lost 13. I lost $13 too. That was an expensive day. All right, this, that, and the other. Okay, this is going to be a weird one for you, but everything I do is pretty weird, as you know. All right, this is that Boston College, and I don't know how many of you are aware of this, suspended its swim program last fall. And they did it because they were hazing. So stupid. I went through hazing when I was in high school to join the club. Interact was the Key Club was the Jocks Club. Interact was like the Surfers Club, and I was a surfer. I know. Thinking about getting me up on a board, as I know it's hard for you to believe, but to get in Interact, we got hazed really badly. I mean, it was tough, spankings and eating just things, but they took it to a new level at Boston College. They made them not only over drink, but they made them drink vomit. And so all this came out. They fired everybody, all the coaches, everybody's gone, program disbanded, right? Well, that is, they said, hey, look, all right, we got everybody out of here. We got everything cleaned up, but we do want to have a swimming program. So let's start it. Let's rebuild the program. Who can we go get to do it? Which is where we get to the other. And you're going, why are you talking about this, Pat? Well, here's why. They hired Dara Torres to be their head coach, women and men. Dara, who's one of the great people I know, 57 years old now, which is hard to believe. And she will be the coach for both. And that is so cool that Dara Torres is going to do that. Coming full circle for her. And she's learned from the great coaches. That's why she was in more Olympics than anybody. She and Michael Phelps, I think, have been in the most Olympics, right? 5. She's got all these gold medals and everything. She's unbelievable what she's been able to do, and she'll be able to pass that along. So that is the other, that Dara Torres. Now I got to be a Boston College swim fan. I don't think I'm going to go that far, but I do love Dara Torres. She's such a great person. That is this, that, and the other, and of course brought to you by Ironwood, by Darshakow Insurance, and by Ballyhoo Grill, where they do have the best chicken wings. All right, let us move to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. There are a lot of people I could have gone with, but you know who I'm going with? I'm going to go with the guy who I've ripped a lot this year, Brody Donay. And the reason I'm going with Brody Donay is season's on the line. You hit a grand slam in the first inning and then a solo homer later. You're making Gator of the Week. Okay. And I know that he didn't do anything in the next game. He's got a flaw in his swing and that he's swinging for the fence all the time. He looks a lot like Kaggs, a right-handed version of Kaggs, but not the plate discipline. Hopefully he finds that and he will lay off the sliders. I mean, the average is really low, 14 homers. He's got the power to hit. He's got the power to break the record, to be honest with you, to break Kaggs' record. I think it was a struggle for him transferring over and facing SEC pitching, which we saw again last night, how good it can be. But Brody Donay, I got to give you credit, man. I'm not going to rip you anymore. And when I say rip, I would just think, God, Brody Donay never gets a hit. Every time he comes up, I know what's going to happen. I used to call him, there have been players through the history of Florida baseball that I would joke in the press box about calling rally killers. Rally killers up. Come up, runners on second, third, strike out, inning over. And Brody Donay was kind of a rally killer much of the year, but that was pretty big. And I'm going to give him credit, and I hope he can figure it out next year because he has a chance to do some unbelievable things. He's got the talent, the physical talent. He's just got to get the eyes and the brain going the right way. But Brody Donay is our Adams Rib Co. Gator of the week. Head over to Adams Rib over there on 13th Street and have some fun. Enjoy some. I mean, best barbecue is unbelievable. In fact, I'm thinking about it right now. Oh, I'll wait till tomorrow because I like to get those Nana's fish nuggets, man. They are like melt in your mouth good. They're so good. All right. Let's move on to our Leonardo's at Quick Picks. Leonardo's Quick Picks. Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. Let me say it 9 times. I'll get it right. And you talk about good food. You can't get any better than it is over at Leonardo's. Great pizza, great Parmesan chicken sandwich. I would recommend it. It is called the Dooley on the menu for a reason. And Kyle Cohen has been a great friend to us as well. All right, I'm just going to put it this simple. And again, you may not know the answer to this till Monday night. Who wins, Texas A&M or Tennessee? Starts on Saturday, so you got plenty of time to get it in. In fact, it doesn't start till 7:30 on Saturday, I think it is. I'll give you that in a minute. But so it's pretty simple. Who wins? And then if we don't do a show next Thursday, we'll pull on Monday, okay? But if we do a show Thursday, we'll pull on Thursday and pull a winner, okay? Does any of that make sense? I'm just got to get things straightened out with my wife. That's all. And she's home now, so I'll go talk to her. Anyway, Tennessee or A&M, we know who we want to win. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you are anti-A&M. Maybe those two jerks, morons, knuckleheads, losers who were harassing the Florida dugout in the first game. Maybe that turned you off so much you don't care who wins. You got to pick one of those two teams. All right, that is going to do it for our Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks. Let's move to our Swamp games of the weekend to finish things up, and the Swamp Restaurant where you can go. And look, there's still plenty to watch. I know we're done with our college sports season for this year. Baseball's over, track's over, and that's it. We're done. But there's still plenty to watch. The Olympics, come on, man. I know you guys are going to be showing up at the Swamp, getting those special drink specials and having fun and watching the Olympics when Gators are competing, and there'll be a lot of Gators out there. Maybe we'll go there to see Grant Holloway run. That would be kind of cool. Grant's a good friend, and we appreciate him. But there is so much still to watch, and so we'll be giving this to you, continue the baseball and all this stuff. So let's get to it, and we'll start with the College World Series. I still call it the CWS. You know, they just started. Was it just this year they started calling it try English, Pat. The MCWS, the Men's College World Series versus the Women's College World Series, because it was College World Series and then it was Women's College World Series. I think this year, or maybe it was last year, but I think it was this year, they started calling it the Men's College World. I still call it the College World Series. And I'm not being sexist there. That's just the way that's what it was always called. That's what I covered for all those years. I think I've been to 8 of them, College World Series. All right. So anyway, the Men's College World Series. If you want to watch it, Saturday, 7:30 ESPN, that's game 1. Sunday, 2:00 on ABC. That's kind of a quick turnaround there on ABC, yeah. So they go ESPN Saturday, ABC Sunday, and then Monday, it's an if necessary game, of course. If they play again, it'll be 7:00 on ESPN. Now, again, all this is assuming there's no rain, but we've seen what happened. And that goes, I want to go back to that a little bit with this Gator baseball team. The emotions that had to be going through their minds when they have a game and they sit around and it finally gets rained out. or no, the first one where they finally played the game started at 12 o'clock midnight. And then, you lose that game and tough at 2 in the morning and tough. You got to come back in a couple days and play again. And then you get another game rained out. It might have helped Florida's arms, but I don't think it helped them mentally. But again, Kentucky had to go through the same thing. And it didn't work for them. It apparently did affect them more. But I think then to go play another game, that's when I think maybe, again, I'll have to talk to Sully before I know for sure, but I think it drained them a little bit. But anyway, I'm not making excuses. I am happy with what happened. I'm not as happy as I could be, but I'm happy with what happened. Let's get to our other games of the week, and brought to you by the Swamp Restaurant. Friday night, that's tomorrow night, Florida at Edmonton. You think Panthers fans are getting nervous? I don't know. I don't run into a lot of Panthers fans up here in Gainesville, but I would think they're going to be a little bit nervous after losing the last couple. They still have a 3-2, and they got to go to Edmonton. So that was the thing. You want to end it, and then you don't have to go back to Edmonton, or you don't, and then you don't, anyway. So Florida at Edmonton, Friday night, 8 o'clock, ABC. Book it, Dano. And then baseball-wise, Saturday, Mets at the Cubs on FS1 at 2:20 Saturday, and then Atlanta at the New York Yankees, 7:15. That is on Fox. Sunday, Mets and Cubs again, 7 o'clock. That's the ESPN game. So those are our Leonardo's. Those are our Swamp games of the weekend, and we appreciate all of our great sponsors. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate Zach for doing such a great job. All right, we'll be back Monday with Andrea Adelson. We'll let you know about the Thursday show then. I will be, just so you know, I will be doing the tailgate today. I know with no game, I said, look, guys, people probably want to talk about this Gator team. I'll come in. I'll do it by myself. Jeff probably won't be back in time, and we may be doing another one tomorrow. So make sure you listen in and give us a call. Again, if you want to be a sponsor of this show, we've got a great deal set up for you. You don't have to do anything till August financially, but we'll give you spots the rest of this time and then all through July. It's a great opportunity for you, and believe me, I'm pretty cheap, so I'll let you get in for pretty cheap. But we do appreciate all of our great sponsors, especially our title sponsor, Titan MRI. That's going to do it for today's show. I am Pat Dooley, and I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.